Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. I have something very important to discuss with all of you here today, and I don't have a lot of time to spare, so let's just cut straight to the chase. At approximately 7:43 p.m. Eastern Standard Time last night, I was contacted by the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Department of Justice in regards to, "Oh, hello, Chompy! Hi! What's up? How you doing? I was just about to talk about something very serious and important. So you interrupting me had better also be for something very serious and important. What's on your mind, buddy? What was so serious and important that you felt the need to interrupt me at this critical moment? What's up? Huh? I don't know how to have fun? I don't know what comedy is? And I obviously hate metal? Who the hell told you that? Uh-huh. A bunch of mouth-breathing asswipes? Yeah, that sounds about right. Well, Chompy, I have news for you. I actually do love fun and comedy and metal, and I am fine with all of those things existing together, which is why today we're going to talk about 5 comedy metal bands that are actually funny, and you should check out right now if you haven't already. Spoiler alert, neither Brian Posehn nor Steel Panther will be on this list, because guess what? Boomers whining about autotune and cancel culture and STDs, not funny. It's cringe boomer nonsense. I don't make the rules, it's not funny, that's just how it is. First up, a couple of honorable mentions, the first of which being Ninja Sex Party. They are a comedy rock band, not necessarily a comedy metal band, hence why they didn't make the final cut. But they are very funny. In fact, I very consistently find myself laughing at a number of skits and music videos and singles and even entire albums that this comedy duo has put out over the years. Like, there's a lot of legitimately really clever, snarky lyricism and wordplay. There's legitimate vocal and musical talent and prowess courtesy of Dan Avidan and Brian Wecht, or Danny Sexbang and Ninja Brian, if you prefer. In recent years, they've had the support of Tupperware Remix Party for live concerts and stuff like that, and even in the studio, and as a result, they've only continued to blossom and evolve. Stuff like Party of Three, Why I Cry, Attitude City, Dragon Slayer, Unicorn Wizard, The Ultimate Sandwich, Let's Get This Terrible Party Started, and so much more continuously puts a smile on my goddamn face. I would go as far as to say 6969, a sexually charged rock opera inspired by Russia's 2112, is probably one of the best comedy rock songs I've ever heard. It's just good shit, and while they may not be metal, they do have at least a little bit of metal cred to their name. Dan Avidan is a full-blown metalhead, and I guess it's worth noting that Steel Panther's Michael Starr did appear on the aforementioned 6969, so there you go. I guess Michael Starr did at least one funny thing. Good for him, I guess. Okay. My next and final honorable mention is Death Clock, who, for all intents and purposes, are a pretty serious melodic death metal band, but were born out of such an extreme and genuinely well-executed satire of death metal, of extreme metal, of heavy metal, and really of rock and roll in the music industry. And therefore, it's kind of hard not to want to throw them in. Like, Metalocalypse was a funny fucking show. The antics of Death Clock is really funny. All the music videos, all the skits, all that nonsense. Plus, the music also legitimately really fucking badass. Death Album 3, unironically, one of the best mellow death records of the 2010s. You cannot convince me otherwise. That shit fucking goes hard. I challenge you not to want to pound down a fucking mountain upon hearing I ejaculate fire and crush the industry. I challenge you. Now we're getting into the actual list, 5 comedy metal bands that are actually funny. Let's start off by talking about GWAR, probably one of the most shocking, one of the most provocative, and one of the most hilarious metal bands out there. GWAR is insane. They have their own lore, they have their own mythology. The basic idea is that every member of GWAR is this intergalactic Viking warrior, and they're all just kind of rampaging across the universe, getting into all kinds of mischief and trouble. There's a lot of over-the-top and sexual and scatological humor, a lot of political and social satire, both on the albums and on the stage. Every member of GWAR wears an outrageous outfit and has some kind of outrageous gimmick. Usually they perform some kind of outrageous stunt while performing on stage. Some of these stunts can end up being kind of gory and gruesome, not in like a really extreme or serious manner, more in like a campy Evil Dead kind of way. Like they'll tear off body parts or bits of clothing, they'll attack each other, and blood and guts and other types of bodily fluids will spray out all over the audience. They're just a totally absurd band, and there is so much joy in all of that absurdity. The best way to truly experience GWAR is live, in my opinion. Musically, their best album is Scumdogs of the Universe. Check that out. But by all means, check out their most recent album, The New Dark Ages, as well, because it's also filled with lots of fun, silly, weird, nonsensical garbage. Next up, one of the most iconic, one of the most prolific, and one of the most commercially successful comedy, metal, or rock bands ever, Tenacious D, featuring Kyle Gass and Jack Black. What I really like about Tenacious D is that they put just as much effort into writing the jokes as they do into writing the music. So much so that you could remove the jokes from the music, or remove the music from the jokes, and it still works fine. The jokes are still pretty funny, and the music is still pretty good. Like stuff like Wonder Boy, Fuck Her Gently, Master Exploder, they're funny, they're well crafted. I love the harmonizing vocal work. I love the contrast between the acoustic guitars and the electric guitars. I think it adds like this classic kind of hard rock flavor and sizzle to everything. Always loved Kickapoo featuring Meatloaf and Ronnie James Dio from the Pick of Destiny movie. There was a time not too long ago when I probably could have recited the whole thing from start to finish. Hell, Tenacious D are so good at what they do that they can literally recycle and reuse jokes and no one will question it. Case in point, in the songs Tribute and Beelzebub, released years apart, in both of these songs, Kyle Gass and Jack Black are literally confronted by the devil, who asks Kyle Gass and Jack Black to perform some kind of seemingly impossible task, or else he will torture them, punish them severely. Same premise, same joke, but different execution, and both awesome. Dave Grohl actually being the devil in Beelzebub especially will never not get a kick out of me. Unfortunately, albums beyond the Pick of Destiny, like Rise of the Phoenix and Post-Apocalyptico, have not been up to par, in my opinion, but everything before those two is so goddamn good that Tenacious D have still more than earned their place on this list. Next up, we have Max Sabbath, a McDonald's-themed Black Sabbath parody/tribute band. No, you did not hear me incorrectly. It's literally Black Sabbath, but with lyricism based on McDonald's fast food. And also they dress up like McDonald's characters. Yeah. Look, it's ridiculously stupid and simple. I'm not gonna argue otherwise, but sue me! It gets a fucking laugh out of me! It just fucking does! Like, Sweet Leaf retitled Sweet Beef? Iron Man retitled Frying Pan? Symptom of the Universe retitled Zipping Up the Uniform? And all of this sung by a man who is literally a fusion of Ozzy Osbourne and Ronald McDonald? It's so absurd that it just kind of becomes funny. The benefit of Max Sabbath's music is that they don't make any fundamental changes to Black Sabbath's music. So you can kind of walk in already knowing all of the songs, just not necessarily knowing all of the twists and turns that the songs may take. And if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, you can argue that there is commentary on, like, the corporate fast food industry and how employees and animals are treated in those industries. This is definitely something their manager, Mike Odd, another character in the Max Sabbath world, has alluded to, writing, "As much as Max Sabbath is a part of the fast food culture, the idea here is to warn you of the evils of fast food, not to endorse it." If all this didn't convince you, this might. Sabbath actually has a full-blown seal of approval from Ozzy Osbourne himself. In an episode of the reality TV show Ozzy and Jack's World Detour, Ozzy Osbourne and his son Jack Osbourne come face-to-face with Sabbath in a private concert. And Ozzy apparently loved it. He was blown away by the absurdity of it all. The gimmicks, the costumes, the imagery, the way that they would literally trade in, like, the classic lyrics for, like, stupid fast food and McDonald's puns. They unfortunately don't have an album to their name, but should they come through your town on tour, be there. Period. You won't regret it. Trust me. Next up, we have Psychostick, and I've actually talked about them quite a bit on the Metal Meltdown in the past. I have been a fan of Psychostick for a very, very, very long time now. I remember talking about them with people back in college in like 2012 and 2013 and being totally blown away by their antics. Like, they just kind of do what they want. And usually what they want to do is weird and childish, but in a really endearing and funny way. Like, one of their biggest hits is a parody of Drowning Pool's Let the Bodies Hit the Floor, but redone as I Can Only Count to 4. In this song, it is made evidently clear that Psychostick can only count to 4. And this little bit of simplistic, self-deprecating humor, as repetitive as it is in the song, just kills me every time. Stuff like Beer and This Is Not a Song, It's a Sandwich succeeds for pretty similar reasons. There's also stuff like So Heavy, which kind of tackles the perceived heaviness of deathcore and kind of the culture and the mindset surrounding deathcore. And then there's Not Safe for Work, which on some level I feel could have been put together by the South Park guys. It's literally just South Park finding different ways to say fuck over and over again. There's also the Flesh-Eating Roller Skate Holiday Joyride EP, which is probably one of the only holiday-themed metal releases that I can actually listen to without wanting to vomit around November and December. Musically speaking, they're not quite as unique as some of the other bands we've mentioned, but they do pump out some pretty blistering hardcore and extreme metal riffery throughout a good chunk of their discography. Definitely the most simplistic, definitely not as high concept as some of the other bands that we've talked about here, but fuck it, it works. Psychostick never fails to put a smile on my face. And finally, this brings us to Brojob, and heads up, if you didn't like Psychostick's jabs at deathcore, you're probably not gonna like what Brojob has to say either. To quote Metal Injection directly, Brojob is literally the gayest deathcore band you've ever heard, and it's amazing. They're all about tackling the super edgy, tough guy image of deathcore, toxic masculinity, incels on the far right through hyper-satirical and often over-the-top modern deathcore tunery. They're very upfront, they're very unapologetic, they don't compromise, they don't fuck around, and they consistently put out so much goofy fucking shit that a bunch of fucking edgy losers get so fucking mad about. And that in and of itself is also so funny. Stuff like E-Girls Are Ruining My Life, Teeny Weeny, The Incel Anthem, Fuck Yourself, their viral covers of Unholy and WAP, just so fucking good, honestly. I also really liked the Christmas album that they put out last year, A Very Deathcore Christmas with Brojob, which included a cover of Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You. And yes, it's just as ridiculous as it sounds. My favorite song, though, was honestly the Santa's Back in Town, which was basically Thin Lizzy's The Boys Are Back in Town with a deathcore coat of paint, and it was all about Santa. It kinda hit. It kinda went hard. Honestly, not gonna lie. Honestly, I would say that deathcore and modern metal right now needs more bands like Brojob, who are super self-aware and not afraid to really, really piss off some really fucking shitty people. And voila! 5 comedy metal bands that are actually funny. Hopefully I've proven to some of you that I do like comedy, I do like fun, and I do like metal. And hopefully I've also introduced some of you to some really silly-ass bands and some really silly-ass music. Now it's your turn to let me know, what are some of your favorite comedy, metal, or rock bands and or albums? Tell me in the comments, press this button to subscribe. Look, more videos here, and as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.